Good day everyone, I'm Miss Asiko from ABM 11 Pascal. Today we will introduce the sampling systems from their definitions to their examples that will be mentioned here in our performance task in statistics and probability. So, what are the sampling methods? Well, there are 8 types of sampling methods, and these are the simple random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, systematic sampling, volunteer sampling, snowball sampling, convenience sampling, quota sampling, and the following clips are the definitions and link methods that my roommates will explain.
The sample random sampling example. The concept, process, and objectives of simple random sampling. The concept. Simple random sampling is a method where each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. Process. Define the population. And second, assign a unique number to each member. Third is, use a random number to select the sample. Objectives. Ensure representativeness of the sample. Allow for generalization of results to the population. Real-world example and effectiveness. Kunwari, nasa isang birthday party ka, may 5 teams na maglalaro and sa bawat teams is ilalagay ang mga pangalan sa bawat jar. And sa bawat jar is pipili ng random na name para sa mga maglalaro. And the effectiveness. Most effective when the population is equal. Ensure that every member of the population has an equal chance of being included in the sample random samples.
Since an SRS is unbiased, each individual has an equal chance of being chosen to be surveyed. In other words, to be part of the sample. You can think of an SRS as putting names into a hat and selecting N of them. So if I wanted a sample size of 6, I would select 6 papers and come up to the randomly chosen people to interview them.
Stratified random sampling is a method of population sampling that involves the division of population into smaller subgroups, are known as strata. In stratified random sampling, or stratification, the strata are formed based on members, shared attributes or characteristics such as age, gender, or grade, or etc. Stratified sampling is used to highlight differences among groups in a population. This is different from simple random sampling, which treats all members of a population as equal, with an equal likelihood of being sampled. Strata, ito yung group na na-divide mo in a population, or plural form. And stratum, ito naman yung singular group na nakuha mo in strata, or singular form. So, here are the steps of stratified random sampling. Steps 1, identify your population. Step 2, group it into strata or subgroups. Step 3, apply a sampling like simple random sampling. The following video is example of stratified random sampling. So example, yung mga students, i-group natin sila and pwede maging basehan dito yung age, gender, etc. So kunwari, na population, 80. And para makuha ang sample, kailangan mo ng formula. And para din mapatunayan na yung magiging sample natin is hindi gawa-gawa. And you have 4 subgroups, and in their groups, they have 20 members, and you only need this step. So who will be your respondents? As a researcher, hindi ikaw ang pipili ng respondents mo. To be fair, you need to perform a simple random technique to choose who will be your respondents.
For a stratified random sample, we take the population and we divide it into something called a strata. Strata refers to the groups of similar people. Within each stratum, we take an SRS and combine the SRSs to get the full sample. For example, we could take an SRS of 2 people from each group, so that we get the total of 6 people. A stratified random sample is good for making sure that whoever is administering the sample gets in contact with each kind of group.
Is a probability sampling method in which you divide a population into clusters, such as districts or schools, and then randomly select some of these clusters as your sample. So, ang explanation ko naman po ay cluster sampling. Ito po yung bigger population. Example ko po dito, kunwari po, ang factor po natin ay age. So, magkakasama po dito ang kids, teenage, and adults. Meron pa po akong example. Ang section 1, 2, and 3. Pag bumunot po ako ng number at nabunot ko ay number 2, ang pipiliin po namin ay section 2 at ayun po ang magiging respondents namin. Ayun lamang po. Thank you.
In cluster sampling, the population is divided into clusters which are then chosen at random. For example, departments of a business can be clusters or suburbs within a city. Within each cluster, all of the objects are included in the sample. Cluster sampling can be more convenient and practical than simple random sampling. However, if the clusters are different from each other with regard to the elements we are measuring, it can lead to bias or non-representativeness.
Systematic sampling is a probability sampling method where you select elements from a population at irregular intervals. Imagine, numbered list of your population, you choose a random starting point, and then select every element after that. Systematic sampling is a straightforward method for selecting a representative sample from a population. It's a good choice for large populations when you need a quick and efficient sampling technique. Example, we are the researchers and kailangan namin ng 10 participants for our research. And now, we are gonna select the participants from a random sample. Such as systematic sampling is mag-start lang kami ng starting point and kunyari is mag-stop yung starting point na yun every 5th or pang-limang student. Example is the first student is yung nasa harapan. And kung yung starting point niya, magbibilang sila every number 5 or pang-limang student, which means ayun yung mapipili namin for the systematic sampling or sa research namin. So example is, nakakuha na tayo ng isang student mula sa pang-limang point doon sa intervals na kinuha natin, and after nun is magtutuloy-tuloy lang siya until makakuha ng next student from systematic sampling.
With systematic sampling, you choose a starting point at random and then systematically take objects at a certain number apart. For example, if there are 1,000 in the population and you want a sample of 50, you would take every 20th object. Systematic samples are easier to administer than simple random samples and are usually a good approximation of a random sample. However, if there is a pattern in the population, certain types of objects could be chosen more or less often than others.
Sampling. Volunteer sampling is a sampling techniques where participants self-select to become a part of a study because they are interested. For example, isa ako sa parte ng researchers and kailangan namin mag-survey sa mga students. And sila yung participants namin, kumbaga sila yung tigasagot namin or mag-volunteer kung gusto nila sagutan yung survey namin. Then, katulad ng mga poster na may mga nakalagay na kung ano yung konektado sa aming survey. For the following clip, magpapakita ng example ang volunteer sampling.
Now, a voluntary response sample consists of people that have chosen to include themselves in the sample. So the researcher lets people come to him. This is a biased sampling method because people with a strong interest for the survey topic are the ones who are most likely to respond, whereas the people who don't feel as strongly about the topic may not even care to respond.
So what
What is snowball sampling? Snowball sampling is a non-probability sampling technique that involves recruiting research participants through referrals from existing participants. So, example, kunyari, magagamit natin yung snowball sampling. Like, kunyari, ako, may nahanap akong isang participants na kailangan ko. And that participants is may kakilala siya o may recommend siyang tao na connected din sa kailangan ko. Or ayun na yung mismong kailangan ko. Kumbaga, siya na yung maghahanap ng mga taong kailangan ko. Then, magko-connect hanggang sa makumpleto ko yung kailangan kong participants. The next clip is magpapakita kung paano gamitin yung example ng snowball sampling.
What is snowball sampling? It is a non-probability sampling technique in which the initial subject refers the researcher to all the people who could potentially participate in the study. It is used in studies where the potentially participants are hard to find.
Convenience sampling. Convenience sampling is a non-probability method where the participants are willingness to participate. In the other words, the sample is a basis from a population where it can be easily and accessible for the researcher. The participants are not randomly selected but rather based on accessibility and convenience. And here the real-life example of convenience sampling. A coffee shop owner wants to gather information about their new menu items. To collect data quickly and easily, the owner decided to distribute an online survey via their social media channels and email newsletter.
A convenience sample only includes people who are easy to reach. If this is our population and a researcher comes along to interview people, then he would only talk to the people that are closer to him to be part of the sample. This is a biased sampling method because not everyone in the population has an equal chance of being part of the sample. Only people that are of convenience to the researcher will be interviewed.
Sampling is an probability sampling technique in which researchers select participants based on predefined quotas for specific characteristics such as age, gender, or occupation to ensure representation to different subgroups within a population. Unlike random sampling, participants are chosen based on convenience or availability until the required quota is met. Yung quota sampling daw is ito daw yung way ng researcher na maghanap ng mga participants base sa tiyak na edad, age, o katangian ng mga participant. Example ito daw is, kunyari, yung isang company ay naghahanap ng isang daang participant para mapuno yung quota. Hatiin daw nila ito base sa tiyak na edad. Kunyari, sa 50 na yun, 25 years old hanggang 50. Tapos yung iba naman, 18 ba? Clip is mapapakita ng another example ng quota sample.
Preferences of consumers at Wanda Plaza. Since he expects that the gender may impact preferences, he decides to divide the population by gender. He researches and finds that 60% of shoppers are female. The researcher wants a sample size of 100, so in order to get a proportionate samples, he must find 60 females and 40 males. The researcher did not take any random sample, thus he has used quota sampling.
In conclusion, this is the summarization of important information of our presentation. Can be seen here and you will know how to teach something correctly. Each sampling has different characteristics. The stratified random sampling. This involve the division of the population group or also known as strata. Another, the simple random sampling. Here's the technique if you were able to select the group of a population. The cluster sampling is the method in which you divide the population into the cluster. Non-probability sampling. This involves the participants through referrals from existing participants and quota sampling. It's a probability sampling in which technique to select participants based on predefined questions for specific characteristics. And these samplings of ours